Rah!
When did we all get this dumb?
Almost only counts in horseshoes, hand grenades, and nuclear warfare. I don't see any bodies, so it doesn't count.
I'm angry about taxes.
I'm the chef. I want to hear one thing. Yes, chef.
Come on, man. Use your brain.
The Why I'm Angry podcast starts now.
All right. It's the Why I'm Angry podcast. All right, guys. Again, this is the chef. I got the whole crew here. Say hi, crew.
Hi, crew.
Hi, crew.
Hi, crew.
All right. So while we're getting in, get to the merch store, get on our website. Right now, if you put in Angry Patriot at the code, you will get 75% off of all subscriptions, which takes your ad-free subscription down to $1.25 a month. It's basically nothing. You won't even realize it's coming out of your check. Just, help us out. And then if you want everything, $2.50. Not even like a third of a cup of coffee. So get on, help us out. If though you don't have that to give, it's okay. Not every help has to be monetary. You can get on your social medias, hit the button and like us, hit the button and share us with all your friends and family. And, you could also get on and give us a review. 5 stars and 1-star reviews. Don't kind of like us and don't kind of hate us. Just really hate us or really love us. And we'll put you in the drawing for a t-shirt. So
We like our buttons pushed.
That's right. We want you to push our buttons, and hit those stars. Just one, or give us many. And, we'll get you in there. So, I got J Boots here.
What
I got the Honest Abe. It's kind of the old school crew here. I'm not sure how we got everybody on. Minus Destiny and Peyton, obviously, but the old school crew. The A team, as it were.
Yes.
And don't tell the other guys. But so we getting on here. So we were talking about in the pre. It's too bad we don't record the pre-hour meeting that we have ahead of this podcast, because I guess the title kind of gives it away. Barbecue TikTok and whale menopause. I don't know that you can figure out what we're going to talk about, but there was an article today that Jay Boots got me privy to. I gotta find it here. And I like the headline to it, so I'm gonna read the headline. It is gang leader named Barbecue is now most powerful man in Haiti.
Yes.
The man's name is named Barbecue.
Yeah, that's his name, Barbecue.
So the U.S. is now evacuating people from Haiti, and the gang leader his name is now called Barbecue. But there are videos. There are a couple of YouTube videos and TikTok, or not TikTok, X videos. I guess we don't have to say formally Twitter anymore. It's just X.
It still throws me off when people say X.
Right.
Like,
right. Because you kind of think you might be going to a porn site, right?
Right. Yeah. Every time I see the thing on my
the black
suggested
X
websites or whatever, and it shows X, I'm like, oh, what
did I go to? Oh, wait.
It takes you back to like the times when you were a kid and you accidentally hit the wrong email or something, or spam
right.
click, like pop up or something. Right. You're like, oh no,
grow your penis or something.
It's like, no, I don't want to crash the computer.
To get on that. I've been meaning to do that.
Jeez. Oh man. So yes.
I just want to say one thing before we continue on this barbecue, this Haitian barbecue thing we're doing.
Okay.
Monroe Doctrine. Okay, let's proceed. Okay, we can proceed. Let's go. Here we go.
Okay. So I'm going to read this,
So
and then
I
you're
will.
going
I will
to
say.
you're going to tell us what the Monroe Doctrine is.
Correct.
I will say though. Hold on. I will say the whole barbecue name, the name barbecue,
Yeah, yeah.
takes me back to that one article we spoke about. Was it in Taiwan or something about how one of the restaurants said if you change your name to like salmon or whatever,
Yeah.
That was not
you get
that
like
was
Yeah.
not, that was not the
Same
article
thing.
I thought you were going to take us back to, but
no, I feel like this is like it was like a bet going bad or something.
right,
Where the
right.
guy was like,
Um,
if you change, it was like a restaurant. It was like if you change your name to barbecue,
yeah,
we'll give you
because
free barbecue.
I think you're going to realize that that's not quite the case in this one. As soon as I start
Obviously,
to as soon as I start to give you some of the facts.
I haven't gotten the rundown. I came in late to the party a little
Yeah,
bit
yeah.
Brings a whole new
this
definition
whole
to the
situation, so
term
I
city
haven't gotten the whole
barbecue.
we
rundown about this
we
article.
also
But
had an article
Q, article,
article
Oh, that's
article
a Pokemon.
article. Wow.
no pun intended.
We also had an article a couple months back about a infamous person influencer that was named Meatball and then robbed a
Damn.
place. Yeah,
Yeah.
was part of a
Yeah.
rioting group that robbed
Yeah.
an Apple store, and because she put her face online robbing it, going ha ha ha, then they showed her mugshot of her crying, and we called the podcast "Meatball Cried." It was great. I
Yeah.
really thought justice was served there.
It, it should have been like what was that Prince song when they say when I forget what the name of that song is where it's like something about cries, angels cry or something like that. I forget what it. But anyway, that's
Yeah,
what it made
it
me think of.
was that
The
wasn't part
meatball.
of Purple Rain. That was
I don't remember now.
I think that was
Now
When
my
Angels
mind's all
Cry,
over the place.
something like that. Yeah,
Angels cry or
we're
something.
we're
Yeah.
really pulling this from we're really
We
doing
are
this.
we are down the rabbit hole already.
We are, yeah, we have spiraled already, and we're not even anywhere close to where the spiral goes. So Jimmy
Back
Sherazard,
to this article.
Sherzier, yeah, Jimmy Sherzier. I'm gonna say that's his name, because I haven't really heard his name said. Is the leader of the notorious G9 gang or family, G9 and family gang. He is in command of the bulk of the gunmen stirring the anarchy in the capital of Haiti right now.
Yes.
Now, what happened is there are some videos out, stirring it, like real stirring it, like throw some barbecue sauce on that corpse, stirring it.
Are we talking about like a Holocaust situation?
We're talking about like these guys shot up some guys and threw them on a fire and on a spit and made it look like we got barbecued people and that
Yes.
we're out there
So,
cannibalizing people.
Yes. I'm so excited.
yes,
I am so
that's,
excited.
that's what you're saying. Okay,
So yeah,
now I'm
what?
starting to. That was my first initial thought when you said that just briefly before we got on here, but
Yeah,
I was like, no, that can't be it. We're not in
that
another
That's
Holocaust
it.
situation.
Nope.
cannot
That's
be
it.
it. No, that is 100% it.
That's it.
That's it.
Here we are,
And
2024,
here we are. Yeah. Um.
still barbecuing
Now.
people.
Now NBC has downplayed it to the fact that it's just an extremist scare tactic, just a terroristic type, play. Just let's, they're not really barbecuing and eating people.
They're just barbecuing people.
They're they're just barbecuing people. They are not barbecuing and eating people.
Sweet
So
baby
I mean,
rays. Come on.
cannibalism and barbecuing people
yeah.
still
So
both seem pretty bad.
I mean,
Like,
it's not enough that they've shot up most of the city. They've ousted the prime minister. They pretty much are in charge right now. Haiti has declared a state of emergency after the gang violence and anarchy broke out. Which, what does that do? Like, what? I mean, who do you call if you're in Haiti? Like, do you
No,
call
no,
like
don't call us.
you're
Don't call us.
you're
No,
already
no,
okay?
Well, that's what they
So
did.
no.
saying who do you call? What is the Monroe Doctrine, Jay Boots?
That's it. The Monroe Doctrine is a piece of legislation, I guess, for lack of a better term, that was written by the U.S. government, saying that we're not gonna try to accept your colonization from here on out. It was like back in the 1918s,
Basically,
something.
yeah, basically that we weren't going to we weren't going to involve ourselves in the affairs of other
Yeah,
countries,
and
which
other
we've done
countries trying to
really well.
colonize other countries. Yeah.
Really well, yeah. We've yeah.
Do you remember when? Do you remember when Jimmy Carter was like abducted and he didn't even realize he got kidnapped, and they sent him the Green Berets? Do you remember that?
I wasn't alive
Oh
during
my
that,
gosh! Oh my
but
gosh! It was
Right.
so funny.
I remember
Oh.
hearing about that.
Yeah, that was definitely an interesting time. That was
Yeah, I mean, this is
oh.
fantastic. So we're done. So we're not going to go down there anymore because, oh boy, they're barbecuing people. So
Yeah, so we're shipping people out.
yeah,
It's a state of emergency. Obviously, thousands of inmates have taken to the streets because they've two separate prison breaks happened in Port-au-Prince at the same time.
yeah.
So
Gang leader Jimmy Sherzar, a former
Haiti is
national
not
police
cool.
member who is known now as Barbecue, seized power and has vowed to continue fighting
Yeah.
until the prime minister resigns.
So what are we going to do? Are we going to send our troops in there?
I don't think Joe knows what's going on. He's like they're just having a barbecue, guys. This is what those people
Oh,
do.
oh, I love it.
He's like this is
You can't make this
we're
crap
not
up,
going
dude.
to
Like,
interfere.
fantastic.
We're not going to interfere in their normal I mean they're just hanging out together and this is what their people do,
Yeah,
right?
that's what they do. It's
That's what
2024. Let them do it.
that's what they do. They barbecue. And yeah,
Uh,
I don't see him putting any boots on the ground. I mean, I don't see him doing much of anything. I don't see him getting out of his basement over the next 6 months, but I mean, they
he
let him
spent a
out for
lot
the
of
State of the
he
Union, which
spent a
we'll
lot
talk
of
about.
yeah. I was gonna say he spent a lot of energy doing the State of the Union. So I don't know if he has enough energy to kind of address this situation. You know,
How just quickly, how many Red Bulls you think he had? I
I
mean,
think it was more
how
than Red
many
Bull.
IVs of
There's
like
a
steroids do you think they put in him so that he could read that fast?
there was another podcast I was listening to the other day that had they were speaking about the State of the Union, and they were talking about like how they got him to be like so coherent, and what was the recipe of cocktail that they set him
Right,
up with,
right.
like
Ex-
whether it's like Adderall or they were like talking
some
about that,
uppers
like
and some downers.
how yes, what was the combination to get him so coherent and like like focused?
That's
Because
funny.
they were like they were talking about like he actually put together some sentences, or at least read from the teleprompter, like
yeah, I
like a
mean, I think
halfway decent State of the Union, and this
yeah.
is the first time in his whole presidency that he was that way, and they were like, we got
Yeah,
to
well,
find out what the combination is for him. Like,
he had to definitely come out and be semi-coherent because the last couple times he had done a speech or talked in front of press. He literally asked permission to talk to the press.
Yeah,
Am I allowed to talk to
right,
the press?
right.
right,
And they
yeah,
shut that down like right now.
right.
Like,
And I think that
oh,
that
so
and the
Joe, you're not
combination
in
of
charge.
Right.
right, right, guys. So I can reply to this. Are you sure? Like,
Can I
okay,
actually answer this, or do I just say?
What do I can't hear you guys. What do I say? They asked a question.
I'm upset that Haiti didn't invite me to the barbecue. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's not
it
that
seems like a
kind of
real big
barbecue.
family affair. I thought we were good with them. Are we good
It's
with them?
I thought it was
Like, come
G9 and
on,
the family were
are we
having
good
a
with them?
barbecue.
I'm getting new
I thought we
information.
were invited to this barbecue.
We were not invited to
So,
the
anyways,
barbecue.
back to the barbecue situation.
Yeah.
Um, first off, I
Because it
think
is a situation.
I think it's a real issue that there's a downplay. They're like, well, I don't think they're really eating people, so let's not get this out of proportion. You know, like
Okay.
first off, that seems a little extreme. Like, okay, like they're crazy, but not that. That's kind of like trying to justify a psycho girlfriend or something to your parents or your friends. Like, well, she only slapped me. She didn't close her fist. You know what I mean? Like, it's still bad. You know?
They only shot the guy in
And I
the
find that
leg.
to
They
be
weren't
kind of,
murdering him or
yeah,
anything.
right,
There's a huge
right. Like, I
difference.
find that to be slightly concerning that we're like, well, they only shot people and threw them into a fire, but they're not eating them. You know?
They kidnapped this guy, they shot him, but they didn't torture him. So, I mean,
At
look
least
at
there's
this.
that.
Right.
We're
I mean,
not
he was dead when they
barbarians
put him on the
here.
fire. Yeah, they didn't
We're
burn him at stake while he was alive. You know, like
we're not dealing with a bunch of barbarians here. I mean, they're not eating those guys.
Mm.
they still have some values. I mean,
There's
I can't
definitely
even say that.
there's definitely some values.
They still have standards, guys. They're not eating them, and they
I
were
mean,
dead before
come
they
on,
burned them.
guys. Oh man.
Oh,
No,
So
that's pretty
when do
much
we think we'll see that come to America?
I mean
what?
they're probably going to open the borders to them, or they'll just come across the southern border anyway.
They're just gonna, yeah, I was gonna say they're just gonna flood them into Mexico and let them come across to
Right.
everybody else.
The Haitians?
So
Yeah. They just
yes, or we could
so
just pawn them off on on Canada, like
Well,
dump them
DeSantos
dump
already
them
said
off into Toronto with.
they're trying to stop them in Miami already.
yeah, I mean I'm
Well, I think we should
not
just we should just give them to Trudeau. He'll bring them in
well, I
by the
mean
thousands.
I did see a meme where he threatened Iran with adding them to the LGBTQ lineup, just putting them in as the I.
Are we adding an H to
An
the
H.
LGBTQ?
Well, this was Iran, so this was adding the I. So that
Oh
Hamas,
yeah,
well,
yeah,
he
yeah.
could add the H, I guess, if it was Hamas, or Hezbollah,
There you go. We'll just do the
or the
LGBTHQ.
Houthis. We could add 3 H's.
Mhm.
We call it the
There
3H.
you go. We just do the
LGBTQAP
wait
3H.
LGBTBVQ.
Yeah,
Oh,
in
Just
the meme he said he was going to add them to the front. So we're not messing around. This is going to be the 2H LGBT. Yeah, straight up.
LGBT
that's offensive.
BBQ is what it should be. Sorry.
But yeah, so
So here
barbecue
we are.
is running the country now pretty much. With the inmates. So the inmates are running the asylum. Quite literally. And I don't think we're going to use the Monroe Doctrine. We're just going to use the normal standard approach that Biden has been using, where let's just all go sit in our basement and talk about something. Oh wait, that's our approach.
Well,
We're
and then
sitting
we
in our
should just
basement right
funnel
now.
and then we should just funnel millions and millions to help them because
Uh,
what's a national debt, right?
I mean, honestly, millions don't do anything. So let's make sure it's billions and maybe even a trillion.
Right,
Yeah, I
right.
mean, but Haiti doesn't provide anything to us, do they?
I
Did
mean, a good
Ukraine?
laugh, barbecue.
Stop.
I see what you did there.
Some little bit of Haitian barbecue there, a little.
That's
Can't wait for
terrible.
summer barbecue season.
So,
Man, let's go.
so you don't, so you don't think that we're gonna go in and help these people, is what you're saying?
I don't think that the
You think,
U.S. will put
you think we're
boots on
just
the
gonna send
ground.
money? And who do you send money to? A country
Mr.
that's being
Barbecue.
taken over.
Who?
like,
Um.
like which side of the family reunion are we on?
He's
here,
running
you
the
know?
country.
Yeah, because
I
I don't
there's
think the prime minister of Haiti is the sweetest, most awesome dude.
now he is because of Sweet Baby
Well,
Ray.
yeah, I know. I think it's like which one is the lesser evil,
Right.
you
And I
know?
think that's what they're going to end up. I mean, they're going to end up, giving the money to the lesser of the evils. Probably barbecue is not going to be lesser of the evils because he did literally have a video of two people being barbecued. And so
Yeah, I can see how that could be a problem.
I think his human rights record is already been like falling off the edge. Like
Questioned,
it's
maybe.
kind of, it's,
A
on the
little
scale of
questionable.
Hitler to Jesus, he's probably closer to Hitler than he is Jesus.
Yeah, bringing out now. We're really bringing out the old school scale there. Yeah.
Yeah, last time we mentioned Hitler, we got kicked off of a channel, but
That wasn't even on air when we were talking about that scale. That's an old school scale.
yeah, well that time, but yeah, we've mentioned it a few times here and there, but I think definitely they've sent in UN authorized security forces, or they're proposed for sending in. So I'm sure there'll be something. There's also a deal in, did I say Kenya, where there were some people kidnapped? I think I said Kenya when I saw that. Let me get to it. Nigeria. There was a kidnapping. They have the hostages. They're demanding $600,000, which is pretty close to $1 billion in Nigeria. For the release of 280 students. 600,000 seems low for 280 people. Like if you're gonna house and feed and torture 280 people, this is from the age of 8 to 15. If you're gonna deal with basically a bunch of teenagers, you should get more than 600,000.
Yeah, but it's Kenya. They don't look at the value of life the same as the rest of
Okay.
us, you know.
All right. I can see that.
Not
That makes
justifying
a lot of
their.
sense, actually.
I mean, I appreciate that you're like, you guys really are like kind of shooting yourselves in the foot here. You should have asked for more.
I mean, this is a deal. Someone pay those guys and get the people back. I mean,
but yeah, right. Well, listen, guys. Let's not ask for too much. Let's be realistic here. I think we can get 600. Okay.
this is a tad more than $2,000 per person.
Yeah, I think 600K is realistic. It's like they sat down and like had a conversation. I think
All right.
600K is realistic. If we ask for too much more, then
we'll look at the economy here. We're in a really bad state at the moment. Our richest people
it's
in
really
the
a terrible
country.
situation, though. What's the fix to that, and who takes care of that?
What's that? The economy, or the fact that somebody has to pay 600K?
The students that have a price tag of $2,000 apiece.
Yeah, that's going to be like that might be one of those things that you end up having years and years of therapy. Like, I'm only worth $2,000. I'm worth less than a Volvo.
I'm not talking about the kids. I'm talking about is it the Kenyan government then that has to like cover this?
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
obviously
either
that's
that
gonna be a
or
crazy psychological issue, but I'm pretty sure they've probably experienced or seen worse.
Yeah, I mean, it's either the families or the Nigerian government. They're saying that the kidnappings may be related to an Islamist militant group. They've been active in the Northeast lately. There's also gangs, but they're it's Nigeria. So
Is it
I mean
Nigeria or Kenya? I'm
it's
confused.
Nigeria. I was wrong in the beginning. I said Kenya, but it was
Oh my
Nigeria.
gosh.
I'm
Now it
sorry.
all makes more sense.
Yeah, I'm just
Well,
kidding.
the Nigerian prince is asking. He's going to send you $1 million as long as you give him 14,000 back of it.
Right. I feel
Well,
like
that's
he
cool.
probably foresaw this over the last like 10 years.
Well, people
He's like,
stopped
hey, we
sending
need to
him
raise some
checks,
money.
so
We
he
need to
thought
raise some money.
what I would
Maybe
normally
that's what
get
this
out of
actually is.
280 people is 600,000. So that's what he said.
How much do you how like so now that brings up a question. Is this actually realistic and this isn't a hoax? Or is this
This is
another like
this wasn't a
you
hoax
know
email. I
this is
have
another prank
280 of your
phone call
students.
or whatever, or a rip off, where they're like,
Yeah.
please, I'm stuck in Nigeria, blah 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 blah. I need to
Please
get
send me
home.
$50.
Yeah.
Send me a bunch.
Go
Send
down
me a
to
bunch
Western
of
Union and
Amazon
send me
gift cards.
$500. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I
No, this
I
is
hope that it's a
actually
hoax and then
this.
there's not actually 280 students being detained or whatever.
Yeah, basically, it is 280 students have been like they went into a school and basically detained these kids, took them and that kind of thing. They say at least 500 have been kidnapped over the past 2 weeks. It's kind of a crisis. There's a kidnapping crisis in
500?
yeah.
Where are they putting all these kids?
Well, I don't know if it's the same group. They said it could be this group. They don't know who exactly is doing it. Um, this Nigerian upstart gangs. Obviously, none of them are barbecuing kids yet, which is good. Which is good,
Well, then they're not
but
that bad.
they're not that bad. They're still somewhat humanitarian. So if they do go
They
to
still have
Haiti,
some
they could be the
value.
lesser of,
Yeah.
of two evils, and they could
Yeah,
get some money. That's
yeah,
what they should
and-
just do. Leave the kids,
yeah,
go to Haiti, take things over, and they would be considered, because they left the kids as a humanitarian gesture. They would
yeah,
Right.
be considered the lesser of two evils, and I'm sure they give him almost $1 trillion bucks.
yeah.
Right.
The new standard is
Right.
right here. Here's the new
Right.
standard.
They do
Ju-
sound like they have standards,
just below Stalin. Uh,
Right there, guys.
just above Pol Pot,
Yep.
You're
just
flirting with
above
that line.
Stalin.
So
Oh
what's the
At least it's
solution
man,
to
not
that
COVID,
one?
right?
what's that
Oh
now? I'm
geez.
sorry. What
At
was the
least it's
last
not
thing you
COVID.
said? Honest Abe.
I
I
said,
heard your
oh
COVID.
geez. But yeah,
Well,
you said it's kind of a crisis. Yeah, no, it
yeah, it's kind
is.
of been a crisis.
Apparently,
They said since
obviously, 500
2014 this
plus
has been
students have been taken.
yeah, well, they said since 2014 gangs have raised about $5 million, and an estimated 4,000 people have been reported kidnapped since last year.
Have they released them?
I mean, I don't know. Doesn't
That
say.
seems kind of important to know.
It says, yeah, it just says that there has been 4,000 people reportedly kidnapped last year. So next month will mark 10 years since the Islamic group Boko Haram kidnapped 700 or 276 schoolgirls in a northeastern Chibok, sparking the Bring Back Our Girls campaign. Today is almost 100 remain unaccounted for of those
Yeah.
276. So I don't think it's something where I think it's a good way to traffic kids, honestly.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Sadly,
Yeah.
we kidnap them. If we get some money out of them, then we don't have to worry about trafficking them. If we don't, we traffic those kids.
That's just so disturbing. I don't understand people like that. Any kind of crimes involving kids just sickens me. Like,
Right.
truly, honestly. Like, I don't know.
You want me to come pick you up and we can go execute pedophiles together?
I mean, that sounds good. That would put me in a good mood.
Who's driving? And when
When
you
will
gonna
you
be
be
here?
here?
Oh man.
Yeah,
I think
that's
it's legal
sad,
in
man.
Haiti now.
I'm not really sure what people are worried about laws wise down there. You know, current state of situations. You know,
I think there's a lack of sorry, I killed an ant. A lack of well, you should have seen one of the last episodes. I had an ant crawl up on my arm, and I was like, ah! I didn't know what was going on. I thought it was like something major. I
Being
kind of freaked
invaded
out a
by,
little bit. Yeah, I
was
wasn't
it
sure
just a
what was
black
going
ant?
on.
A
Just a big
carpenter
black
ant?
ant. Yeah, it was a big one, black
I'm
one.
disappointed in your lack of
Restraint?
humanitarian standards.
That was antitarian. I have
Yeah,
no
that's it's not
antitarian.
humanitarian.
It's pretty
No,
serious.
no
Let's not lie.
antitarian standards. I kill him at will.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
gonna
have
gas
to
him
turn
here
you.
shortly.
I'm gonna have
Yeah.
to turn you into PETA.
Okay. Do PETA follow bugs?
I don't know.
Or PETA doesn't care about bugs? Bugs
Is it
don't
just
have
cattle and
feelings.
livestock and other animals like that? Like,
I think that's Coyote Peterson.
Is that like the potato? It doesn't have any feelings.
I don't know. How do we know? How do we know that anything has a soul or feelings or you know
Because
what I mean?
potatoes turn into vodka. That's how we know.
That's how we know they don't have any feelings. They take our feelings
You know?
away.
True. All right. I sit corrected. All right.
Well, at least we still have TikTok.
So yeah.
There's always an optimist. I appreciate that.
Right. Well, unfortunately, that might be gone too, because
TikTok?
that was the next. Yeah, that was the next article I was going to read. That the House of Representatives in the U.S., the U.S. House of Representatives voted 352 to 65 yesterday to ban TikTok in the U.S.
No way.
Yep.
Wow.
Right.
But then how many years ago were they arguing and saying, no, that's crazy. We don't need to do that and everything else. And now all of a sudden somebody got a wild hair and there's people being barbecued in the world.
That's it. It's the barbecue, I think, which took them over
Yeah.
the edge. That
That's
we
it.
can't be part of that.
We gotta stand our ground on this one. TikTok.
TikTok barbecue.
So you think it's gonna happen?
Let's not fight for. Let's not fight. Yeah, it's absolutely gonna happen. But let's not fight for veteran affairs or anything like that. Let's not fight.
I think
for...
Right.
I think what they're going to do.
Much more pressing issue is TikTok.
Yeah, I think what they're going to do more than I think they'll ban it, but I think there will be a divestation. I don't know where I came up with that, but
I like
they're
it.
gonna but ByteDance is going to divest themselves out of TikTok, which is going to keep TikTok alive, or somebody's going to buy TikTok. Like somebody like Elon Musk is going to buy ByteDance's or BitDance's share, and then that somehow China will own still parts of it in the back side of things.
Mm-hmm.
Or a U.S. Chinese company will buy out their share.
Maybe Elon Musk will buy it and call it XX.
XXL. Oh yeah,
No, just double X.
double X, double D. So yeah,
I don't know.
they said unless the Chinese parent company divests their holdings in it, they'll have to cease operations within the next 6 months.
Not gonna happen.
I mean, I don't
It's
know
not
that
like the
they
U.S. is. It's not like the U.S. is the only massive country that's invested in it, and then you know what I mean.
right, and that's it. Is I mean, they could lose us. I mean, we are the still the largest consumer of digital
Content.
TikTok.
whatever digital information in the world, but they could take India. You know, they could get it big in India. They could, they're still good in the
Japan.
UK. But I do think there is some European countries that have also banned it.
Mm-hmm.
I do think there
Really?
are yeah, I do think there's 4 or 5 countries at least that have banned it also. So so they say that
Well,
a ban would significantly disrupt TikTok's 170 million US monthly active users.
Australia, Belgium,
And
Canada, Denmark, Afghanistan all have banned the app. New
so yeah,
Zealand, Taiwan.
I was going to say I thought it was like Taiwan
Yeah,
and New Zealand. I
ugh.
thought I had seen maybe Philippines or something. But
yeah. Well, a lot of people say that TikTok is just pure communist. So if you
The-
download the TikTok, then you're a communist.
the the problem
I still
is
have standards. Thank you.
the I'm still just a socialist. Um
I haven't barbecued anyone or
at least I
kidnapped
haven't. Yeah,
kids.
Hey,
at least I'm not.
hey,
I'm
too
not
soon.
that bad. I'm
Too
not
soon.
that bad. I'm not. I'm
No,
not
I'm
out
not
here
that bad.
barbecuing kids.
I'm probably closer to Jesus. Okay, I'm
I'm a
definitely
little
not on
closer.
the side of Hitler.
I'm definitely. That's right. That's right. If we're putting a
Sorry,
scale
I
up
went
here,
there.
since
I
we're
went there
all
with
on since we're all on the spectrum,
it.
uh, I think the
Whoa,
problem
whoa,
is if
whoa.
you look
Let's not go down that rabbit hole.
all being on the spectrum,
Jay's like exit stage left.
right, right. I think the biggest problem is that they've actually seen some of the backdoor side of TikTok, and it goes literally the information, because it goes back to China, is given to the Chinese government.
Yeah. Do not pass go. Do
Well,
So
not collect
duh.
$200.
right,
But it's
which
strange to me that we're so concerned about all of that, but the government overreach for every other thing in the U.S. It's like, well, Chinese government can't have that. We're only allowed to we're only allowed to steal your
right,
information and track you and everything else, and
it's safer if
you
we
know,
have your
just put it on
information
the
than the
cloud. It's
Chinese
fine.
Right.
government.
Right.
But
Put all your information on the cloud. Store it there.
we're still going to pay the Chinese government $100 trillion, whatever that is,
Right. Right.
someday.
Right.
Uh,
Sure.
I did see a thing that in the new spending bill, our interest rate on the Chinese note is more than our defense spending.
Yeah.
Like the
Well,
total of our defense spending for a year.
so you're telling me that the government is upside down in their debts. You know, we bought a Honda Accord in 2015, and
We
we're
still
paying
owe
for a
on it.
Mercedes in
Somehow we
2024.
refinanced it. We refinanced it into a Mercedes.
Cool. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool, man.
So on a lighter
Japanese,
note, what can we talk about?
yeah, Japanese Space One rocket launch fails. Shortly after the takeoff, mission was aimed to be the country's first private sector LED effort to put a satellite into orbit. Like I don't see Japan, like I see Japan as a technologically advanced country, but it's more like, you know, neon lights on a minibus style, technologically advanced, like send us a Nintendo, Sony PlayStations, and you know, your high end TVs, more than it
Like the
is
Magic School Bus? I
let's
feel like you
send
just
let's send a
described the
guy to the
Magic School
moon.
Bus.
Magic
You
school
just
bus.
described the Magic School Bus when we were kids. Like,
Right, right. This is more like super vans and Magic School Bus than
get on, kids! We're gonna go on a learning adventure.
when when they make movies about the space program, they normally talk about U.S. Russian components and stuff. It's not normally.
Yeah,
I mean,
I wouldn't think. I
maybe
wouldn't
they
think of
got the
Japan being
components.
into.
What's
I
that?
don't. I wouldn't think of Japan being a like a technical or technologically advanced for that aspect of things, like the space exploration and that sort of thing. I'd see them
Like
like being advanced on other aspects,
right,
but yeah, I don't think of Japan right off the cuff when you say, "Oh, space exploration." Like, let's
right. I mean, I
Japan,
I
feel
think
like
you know?
you even think of China more than that, and because they're
Right.
shooting satellites up at there to do whatever they, you know, to spy on us
Yeah.
and shoot
Yeah.
lasers at our foreheads and
Balloons.
stuff. But
Balloons. Yeah.
but
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, so
That's strange though. So the rocket though to launch the satellite was how it was driven by what?
it was just a just a second. Sorry, I'm getting some updates. We've got a tornado watch in our area, so
Oh.
it's coming through pretty close to us at the moment. So Um, they're basically saying it's a privately held company that's shooting the rocket up in the air. Basically, is so
Oh.
it's like our SpaceX or whatever the other one is. Yeah, are we
It's
getting
like
it, Jay
the
Boots? Jay Boots, is it going to take us out? I mean, I'm in the
no,
basement.
no, yeah, we're all fine here now. How are you?
Fine.
So they Allison just said it was headed to West Milton, so near
Yeah,
Ansonia and Greenville. So
that may or may not be where someone that we know lives.
right. But are you saying that they're getting a tornado for a reason?
Karma.
No.
uh so sorry, back to back to the rocket.
Yeah.
I just lost the train of thought. Wow, that just happened.
Yeah, so
I forget what you just said.
it's a privately
Oh,
held
yeah, so it was like
company.
yeah, yeah, it was like a Japanese Elon Musk trying to make this happen
Yeah,
and just
basically.
didn't pull it off right. Okay,
Yeah, basically.
I gotcha. I gotcha. Well, that kind of sucks. I mean, no, I mean it sucks for them. It doesn't really suck for us. But
I'm sure it's like billions of dollars that they just lost, you know, based off
you know,
of
I've always wondered about that. When we like invest a bunch of money into a rocket and a space shuttle or whatever, and it explodes like in the process of the whole thing. That's like worst case scenario, obviously. But
right. When it was NASA, it was our bill. We
right,
footed the bill for that. So,
right.
now that it's SpaceX or what is the other company? There's another one that was running. I can't think of them.
Virgin
Um,
Mobile?
Yeah, Virgin Mobile. That dude, the owner of Virgin Mobile,
yeah, they
was
quit that.
started a big
He
thing.
ran out of money.
Oh,
He didn't. He ran the one dude to the edge of space and let him drop. But I think he's efficiently quit trying to run a rocket to space.
like, you know what? I'm not as interested now. It's
Well,
not
I
as
think, yeah,
lucrative as I thought.
I think failing and losing $1 million, a couple hundred $1 million, $1 billion in just one, 15-minute commercial, gone. So yeah, they basically said this one failed about 15 minutes after it launched. So after takeoff,
Yikes.
yeah. So we kind of barely hit on it, but just kind of circling the back to last week since we didn't really get there. There was a State of the Union. It did look like Biden was on something. He didn't even wait for um the official like, hey, this is the president. He's bringing the whatever number 47th president of the world of the bring him in and he's going to give us the state of the, can you give us the State of the Union, sir? And didn't
The
even get like the pomp
introduction.
and circumstance. He just basically walked in and was like, look, guys, and then he was done.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean,
Yep.
kind of. So
I think it's probably one of the better speeches, but I also think is very oblivious to what's actually going on in the country.
yeah, I mean, I think they actually got a decent speech writer for this one.
Right.
Finally.
And they
I
got
mean,
the
they want to.
cocktail right for him, so
They they may have juiced him a little too much, so he was a little fast on his approach. He also didn't pronounce a person's name right that was killed in a shooting, and then later on apologized for saying that the person who shot them was maybe a LGBTQ people. But
Uh-oh.
oh yeah,
This is not a tip.
I'm getting a tornado warning. So
Yeah, we got the
luckily,
warning here.
oh, you did? Okay, it was you. Um,
Please go outside and look at the sky.
I really want to.
Sorry.
But I have this podcast to do, so we're gonna keep doing this, I guess. Um,
Well, if I
just
gotta die, I guess I'll die on
I
here.
I told my wife, I said if we need to come down to the basement, I'm kind of in the safe spot anyhow. So
You're in your safe space.
I'm in my safe space. The Why I'm Angry bunker. So
Yeah, no, I didn't get to see the whole thing, or I didn't watch the whole thing while it happened and stuff. I've seen a few clips and stuff here or there. He definitely, not that I don't, not that I'm like my whole opinion has changed about everything he's done or anything like that. He definitely seemed more coherent than usual,
right.
But it almost seemed like a doctored up coherent, like
Right. It didn't. I
I don't
mean,
know
it
how to
didn't
explain
seem.
that. Like it didn't.
It
It's
wasn't.
not
He
the
wasn't
typical of what
genuine.
we're used to. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
he wasn't genuine about it. He was reading it, and he read it nimbly, but he didn't. He didn't seem like he was actually like he was in there saying the speech. It was definitely not 20 years ago.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's about what I got to say about that.
Yeah. So we had Super Tuesday. Last week, Nikki Haley actually won a couple.
Yep.
She got, I think, Vermont, which those guys vote like create weird people anyhow.
Well, there's only like 1,700 of them or something up there, right?
Yeah.
The rest
Well,
of them are Canadian.
activism is actually a pastime there. You go to Vermont to practice activism. So
Uh-huh.
you go out there, you just hold your sign, you do some free camping, and
Chain yourself to a tree.
that's it. That's it.
I do
So
like Vermont though. Vermont was pretty cool though visiting. So I can't dog on Vermont too much. Uh,
I have mixed
they have a
opinions.
nice couple slopes. I
Okay.
went there to snowboard. So, and they have the first time I ever had a hot honey pizza was there.
Okay.
So
Were
that
you
was a
down
good
at were you up
experience.
there around the Burlington area?
We were in the Burlington area, but where I had it was actually in Killington.
Okay.
But there's slope there in Killington. So
Yeah.
there's a cool little
We
place. I'm gonna shout it out. It's called Mary Lou's. It's a pretty cool little place. They do like the
can't get
fire
my hands
oven,
right.
whatever. I don't know.
That guy.
Hot brick oven fire thingamajig.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Okay.
the bartender, he's pretty cool. So yeah, we'll drop it, here or there or whatever. But
Yeah, we
no, it's a
just
cool place, and the pizza was really, really
oh.
good. And every hot
There
honey pizza that I've tried after that was terrible. Or
right.
I shouldn't say
Yeah,
terrible. It just fell short. Fell
there
short
are some
drastically.
good there are a couple good restaurants. Me and the J Boots when we were on tour, for lack of a better term. We ate at a couple decent places around the Burlington area, and the other one was Rutledge. We ate around that
Yeah.
area, and we did get to know that at the time we were there, they liked to blow up bridges. A lot you couldn't
Oh,
get to Walmart. It was a 3-day drive, and you had to get on a boat, and you may not
no,
get
really?
there because they had blown
Like a
up the
ferry
bridge.
or
Yeah, it was like a 3-hour drive, and you had to take a ferry, and you had to get there at the right time. The ferry only went every like 40 minutes or every half hour or something like that. And
oh,
so you had to time it right. And then it shut down at certain times of the night. And then we were like, oh, can you go kind of around? Because I mean, that's close to the bottom of Ticonderoga. And so we thought, well, we get around the bottom of it, and they were said no. Yeah, no, they blew that bridge up too.
Yeah.
And so they were working
so
on
kind of
that.
poor planning
So yeah,
is
so they
all.
had blown up
Oh,
all of the bridges across the lower part of the Ticonderoga, Lake Ticonderoga, and that river area down in the bottom south area. And so we were just trying to get ink, and there was no Walmart or Staples, obviously.
nice,
So
nice.
and then I
And
spent an Easter.
everything's kind of spread out there. It's not like
Yeah,
I kind of laugh sometimes because I feel like around Cincinnati and stuff. It's like Cincinnati and then all the suburbs, and then there's Dayton and all the northern suburbs of Dayton and stuff where y'all are at. So like
right.
there's quite a bit of areas, and then Columbus really isn't that far from y'all either. So
Right.
like and then even Indy's within a couple hours too. So like all that, there's quite a bit around there, but then you get up to like Vermont, and like the state itself is pretty large, but
Right.
there's like a lot smaller towns up there, cities up there, and they're spread out, hours
Yeah,
apart from
when
each
like
other.
Burlington is the largest town in Vermont, and I think it's like
Right.
maybe 100,000 people.
Yeah, it's not
During
very
ski
big
season,
in
during ski season, I think it's maybe like 200,000, maybe. Like they get
yeah,
a
it's
good
a
boost.
good influx of visitors
Yeah,
and people. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
yeah, they kind of so um yeah, I mean I spent an Easter there. Other than that, I've gotten threatened to be fought in the parking lot a few times in Vermont.
You gotta do
Um,
what you gotta do, man.
more than once. So I would
Sometimes
say
you
that
just
that's
gotta
that's
beat somebody up in the Walmart parking lot.
that's probably one of the states that I have gotten threatened the most. But
You wouldn't think that people would be so angry in Vermont because it
you
seems like a
wouldn't
pretty cool state outside. You take out all the politics or activist stuff or whatever, but like
right.
I can mind my own business pretty well. So
Right. Right.
it's
That's
like
really why I really liked uh right next door New Hampshire.
yeah,
Um
yeah.
because it did seem
New
like
Hampshire's pretty free.
it was a lot of people escaping Boston that didn't want to talk to nobody. They were just there because of the taxes, and they weren't there to hang out or be friends with you. They were just gonna just do their thing.
Right. I think I feel very similar about like Oregon and stuff too,
Right.
where when it comes to Vermont, where like Oregon is a beautiful state, and once you get out of Portland and Eugene, like the state's pretty awesome, but
Right.
everything around the city is pretty rough, right? Like
Right.
well, I shouldn't say rough. It's just very opinionated, very single sided, very
It
this
can
or
get
that.
rough in certain spots, but yeah, yeah. No,
Right.
you're right.
Bringing food and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. I got dinner brought to me.
Okay.
And, whiskey or bourbon.
It is spots one that's an LD barrel strength 116 proof.
Oh, oh! I even got alcohol brought to me.
Okay.
You can. I got this mic set up if you want to hop beside me. You want to hop on here, Rodney? You got something to say? Oh,
Well,
okay.
while they
I
figure
was gonna
that
say
out.
we could talk about Kennedy or.
I have to drive him back up.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I got food.
Sweet.
I love
So
food.
so kind of popping out of Vermont. Um I lost
Oh yeah, sorry.
my
I went
spot.
down that rabbit
No,
hole
no,
of
no,
we're
that
gonna talk
was
about
I
hot
mean,
honey
there wasn't
peaches.
anything better than Nikki Haley won Vermont. And then she decided to drop out of the race. So we're down to
Nothing like
pretty much Trump.
Oh, on an unrelated note, I have a good lead on a tour bus that might say
Yeah.
Nikki Haley on the side of it.
That's right. I think I saw that one on Facebook Marketplace this week. Uh
you know. I will say like while I'm a little disappointed on that aspect of things, the I'm not entirely against like I think Kennedy is a pretty decent individual for the most part. Like, do I think that he has a fair chance of really like doing everything that he's saying he can do and this and that? Well, they won't even give him Secret Service protection and so forth because they're trying to stifle him already, you know? So
right.
it makes me wonder how effective they're really going to allow him to be.
So
You know,
the problem is the Democrat Party thinks he's a real threat, like you just said, to actually win something, and he's the most moderate of probably the three candidates, even though he's got some ideas. He's against abortion and some things like that, which I do follow. I'm like, okay, that's cool. Um, he's still a little bigger government than I really like, but is it as bad as Biden? No, no, not one bit.
I just think he's like I think back on I know I was still fairly young, but I think back on like the Clinton era and George Bush era and like that kind of stuff when all that was kind of like there. You still
Right,
found like very balanced candidates, you know, like
right,
you saw candidates that like okay, at that point you found candidates that might be Democratic or Republican or whatever and they support this but they don't support this. And so you kind of align your values with that. It wasn't so much
I
a this person's Democratic and they're 100% here, and we've talked about
right,
this 1,000 times on here.
right.
Where I feel like Kennedy's kind of that a little bit of a breath of fresh air, where he like kind of supports a few of these things and he kind of supports a few of these things, and
Right.
then like his opinions are kind of like neutral on some other stuff. And but I feel like he's really like a people's candidate, you know, like he's more looking out like for what's the best overall versus like what's the best for just his one side of people, you know.
He's a Democratic populist candidate, honestly. So he's basically the Trump of the left side.
Right.
Because Trump isn't a super right wing crazy person like they're trying to make him out to be. He's a populist candidate. He's there really to, to run the country, somewhat void of the religious aspect of it.
Right.
And so I think that's where you see the line on Kennedy is that he has a little bit of just he's got a little bit of the Catholic side of things, but he's not going to straight bash you over the head with it. And so it's not going to be one of those deals where you don't believe with Kennedy that it's going to get quite as bad as it would be with Uncle Joe or any or if you got a Nancy Pelosi or you got a Gavin Newsom in office.
Oh,
I
geez.
feel like if we got somebody like Gavin Newsom, we're just straight being lied to all the time. No, don't
Well,
go
I
out
mean,
in,
it's
in
whatever is
public
best for him and
and
his husband, right?
and stay in your home while I go out in public and I eat at the fanciest restaurants. You guys
Right.
stay home because COVID doesn't exist in the fancy restaurants. So, I mean, I think that's what you just get the straight, I'm going to lie to your face and I don't care type thing with Gavin Newsom. Where I think, at least with Kennedy, if he lies to you, it's not going to be straight to your face. It's going to be kind of like a half lie. And, you're not going to realize that he's even like telling you that.
Yeah.
Well, I think he's
Pretty
gonna.
much.
He just seems like a person that's gonna do more for the general public than just his own agenda or what he's
Right.
told to do. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because he's fought against a lot of organizations and a lot of people that like expect you to just fall in line, and I think that's why
Right.
the Democratic side hasn't really like latched onto him as much because
Well, they got
he
Puppet Joe
doesn't come
right
across
now.
as somebody that's gonna be like, okay, this is our list of things and this is our agenda. You know, here you go. You know,
Right. Well, I think, and I do believe that he's not 100% bought. Um, the Kennedy name is tough because if you just go back in the history of JFK, JFK lost a little power there, uh, and things like that. Yeah,
I think
it's
it's
blinking.
flickering.
Yeah, it's flickering. So
We
if
have a
you
light
go
effect
back,
going on.
in time, depending on what you believe about the JFK assassination and the Robert Kennedy assassination, um, you kind of still wonder how deep the ties go. Um, but if we're really speaking about what he said and how he's been in the 80s, he would have been a left wing
Right,
Democrat.
right,
Now that we're where we are, I mean, he's barely left to center.
right,
And
right.
so,
He's more neutral
uh,
than anything. Yeah,
right.
because it's gotten so extreme, like you're
It's
saying.
gotten so extreme, yeah. I mean, he at least here, he's not a Muslim. He's not pandering for Palestine, and he's not for giving he's for the Monroe Doctrine. He is not for giving the money to Ukraine. He is not for giving the money to Israel. Like, he's for staying here, shutting down the border, and bringing back some of the true American values. Is as far as I can see. And so that's why the Democrats are like, he's a real threat,
Whoa,
because I've heard a lot of Democrat friends I do have friends, and I do have friends that are Democrats.
Dave's like, it's not me.
It's not me.
Wait, are you not a
But I've
friend or
heard a
you're
lot of
not a
them
Democrat?
say
I'm confused.
it would be nice if, like, we don't want to vote for Biden, but is there somebody that could be in between Trump and Biden? And I think he
Right.
follows that, and I think we kind of, I got on with Moggs this week, and I talked about the two-party system, and kind of what we said was the problem isn't can he get some votes. The problem is he takes too many votes from the Democrats, and they don't get a majority.
Right.
And does he take also a bunch of votes from the Republicans, and then we have a split of, we've got a 40-40-20 split, and then we put it in the Congress to decide, because it's not a deal where you're like, hey, let's just, whoever gets the most votes wins. It's, you have to get a plus 50 majority.
I feel like he's in a position though to be that person to finally break that mold. Because I feel like we've had so many people. I genuinely do, because I feel like we've had so
Right.
many people. And if realistically, if the Democratic Party was smart, they would endorse him. But the problem is they already have Biden in place.
Well, they put their money behind
Right.
Joe, but so they're setting up well for it though. So if Joe
Right.
Biden dies or trips down the stairs and can no longer be a viable candidate, hey, Kennedy's been running. Let's just slide him in.
Right.
And who's a good running mate? Well, that Gavin Newsom guy's been running too.
Oh. You think? I kind of feel like Kennedy is enough of a like a, I don't know what you call it, like a wild card, enough of
Yeah.
a wild card that you think he would like fall in line and say, okay, like Gavin Newsom is, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
like that's a genuine question. Do you think he would
I
just be like,
do.
okay, well they finally stepped behind me and they're backing me, but they're telling
If
me
they
I have
back
to support
him,
this guy over here?
yeah, if they back him and they give him the $300 million that it takes to become president, and they put the Davidian voting machines behind him and all of that crap, and the cemetery in Cleveland, then yeah, I think they do. I think he does get behind, and he says, okay, I'm a team player, and we'll unite the party. And Gavin Newsom, honestly, as bad as he is at least not
Kamala Harris.
AOC.
Ah, ah,
I mean,
got him.
it's not as bad as the vice president we got right now.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think he'll get about as much done as she has. But
Yeah, what is she doing?
well, she's the border czar, so nothing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. She just kind of sits back and, what's she really doing?
Yeah.
Hey, she was elected. She doesn't have to do anything.
This kind of debatable. What was she elected, or did she ride the coattails of Biden? And was Biden even elected, or did he ride the coattails of the Dominion machines?
Excuse you. He was the most voted president ever.
Yeah, 4 million more than Trump the 20 years or the 4 years before that, where he was the most voted president ever.
Everyone loves Biden, so just be careful.
Just mind your P's and Q's.
Just be careful,
especially your Q's.
You said that that we were already pulled off another train. How many more do we want to be pulled off?
I mean, all of them. We might as well get the full sweep.
I'm here for the hat trick.
I'm here for them all. So Yeah, I think I definitely think that
Oh boy.
yeah, I do
Sorry,
think he is a party player still. I mean, even though he is a rebel in his party and does vote he does vote his conscience from time to time. I do think that he'll see or he'll think, well, I mean, they could have given him much worse. He could get the house minority whip or whatever that what is his name, Mo Johnson or whatever. They could get him, or they could they could give him a AOC or
Yeah,
Hillary
why
Clinton.
not?
So
I don't think Hillary Clinton's
which
done. I don't think she's coming back.
well, I mean, I think she's on the same wire that Biden is. I think she's a she's not even a real person anymore. She's just a animatronic, Chuck E. Cheese character.
Her strings are being pulled.
Right, right. After that stroke she had as she was getting in the SUV during her campaign against Trump.
It happens.
Jay, reenactments are
Are you
great.
okay, Jay?
Jay's having the
I'm
same
doing my
stroke.
best, Hillary.
So, I do want to speak about there was a mammoth. There's a Texas-based technology startup called Colossal Bioscience, and they announced yesterday it had successfully transformed elephant cells into an embryo-like state. A key step in the effort to engineer a close approximation to the extinct woolly mammoth.
Yes.
Let's recreate a beast that we have not really no actual intellect
Let
or actual information on how he actually
Hey,
or how they actually interact and
let's
how they actually are.
excuse
Let's
you.
just recreate this monster that
Hey,
could wipe out a whole nother civilization.
they built
let's recreate
the
the
pyramids.
largest land beast on Earth. Let's just grow them. Let's get some more.
Jurassic World.
What could go wrong? Did we not learn
Jurassic
anything from
Park?
Jurassic Park 1? Did we
Right.
not learn anything
No,
from the second one?
Listen, first of all,
What about the third one?
there was a dinosaur supervisor who got fired for
That
that.
dude's been fired? Okay, so it's good. It's good. It's good.
Okay, so that's been handled.
That's been handled.
Haley immediately
Oh.
said Jurassic Park. Like, have you seen Jurassic World?
Have you seen Jurassic? Have you not? Yeah.
Do you not remember them feeding the goat to the Tyrannosaurus Rex?
Do you not remember the glasses going boom?
You guys hear they're going to do a Jurassic City? And it's going to star what, that Scarlet Witch? No, the Black Widow lady. Who is that girl?
Scarlet Witch.
Scarlett Johansson.
Scarlett
Yeah,
Johansson.
Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah, she was offered the deal.
Are they getting rid of Chris Pratt?
Yeah, he's done. He's out.
Did he die in the last one?
No, everything's fine.
No, they've got to bring him back then.
No, he's done.
They've at least got to kill him off.
I gotta cut him off. I gotta end the story. Kill him in the first 5 minutes. Something.
Right.
Did you not watch the last one? He was tired. He had to lay down for a nap.
I've been running for so long. I'm tired. I'm just gonna lay here.
Oh man.
Now they're recreating woolly mammoths. I'm done. I'm done.
Yeah.
I can't.
They're just preparing you that they already have the dinosaur eggs ready.
Right. Oh, I'm sure.
I just want to know what a woolly mammoth meatball tastes like.
We're already talking about harvesting the meat. Okay. Okay.
I mean,
I
think
just
about
want to
how
know
many.
who
Think
is going to
about
be the
how many
first one to take
Nigerian.
out a woolly
Think about how
mammoth.
many Haitians could be fed with a with a mammoth barbecue.
He went there.
Are we going to have to ship it down to Haiti? Because woolly mammoths are not going to survive in Haiti.
Yeah,
You
you
never
can
know.
design them to survive wherever you want. If you're the geneticist who's playing God, you can make
That's
them live
true. That's true.
tropical.
I mean, elephants survive in the Sahara, so
Yeah, but that's where they what?
elephants.
It's their natural habitat.
Yeah, that's
So,
what I'm saying.
hold on. Back to the
So
woolly
woolly
mammoth thing.
mammoths are going to be
Here's my
embryo. They transformed elephant cells into an embryo like state.
so here's my thing though. So there's been, and I don't know that this is ever proven, but they're saying that hunting parties used to go hunt woolly mammoths, and like it was like this big thing or big event, right? There's
Right.
obviously it's really folklore more than anything because we don't really have any actual proof more than arrowheads and spears that we
Drawings on the
found and
wall.
tusks,
Yeah.
etc. Yeah, drawing on the wall, etc. Do you think that the males of this generation are manly enough to to really hunt down woolly mammoths? I mean,
No.
let's be realistic here. We have too
No.
many
We would
guys that are
definitely have to take
afraid
females.
of dogs, let alone woolly mammoths.
Yeah, we definitely have to send out the females.
I'm busy on TikTok, so
It would
Well,
definitely be
TikTok's not going to be around. Okay.
it would definitely be the trans movement would definitely take to hunting woolly mammoths.
You're genetically transformed too?
Oh yeah, let's do this. Oh,
I'm
oh
watching my
man.
cholesterol.
It's probably the only thing good to watch right now. Um so yeah. So so Honest Abe, you wanted to talk, and not that Haley comes in at the wrong time, but you wanted to talk about the NFL. But I had an article from from last week that says Dartmouth athletes unionize. So the
Oh boy.
Dartmouth men's baseball team voted to unionize yesterday, which is last Wednesday, in the latest step in challenging the long-standing amateur model of college sports. There's only 15 of them, so they voted 13-2.
So
So
there's two smart ones.
they're at Dartmouth. So
Well, they all have to be somewhat smart, right? I guess.
I mean, it is the Alabama of Ivy League schools. So
I'm not sure how to take that.
take it however you
I'm out.
like.
I'm leaving.
He's
Y'all have a
like-
good night.
I'm out. Peace out. Thanks, guys.
Are you
So
really leaving? Are you tired now? Are you really leaving, or is it just SUQ?
It's my bedtime.
so
Come
the
on,
union
Jay, it's
vote
a Thursday.
comes amid a broader effort to cut back restrictions on compensation for the student athletes. The NCAA. Here's my deal. The NCAA has to do something to get rid of, or to stabilize this NIL deal.
You think a union though is the right way to go about it?
Absolutely not.
Because so there's been lots of conversation, and Haley and I have had this conversation quite a bit, and for multiple reasons. She was a collegiate softball player, and she also is a college softball coach now.
Right.
So we've discussed this on many levels, and obviously football is one of the biggest levels of NIL deals, and there's so many different aspects of that. When you got 18 and 19-year-olds that are worth 3.8 mil, and
Right.
situations like that are
Well, when
obviously
they offered
extreme
Harrison
situations
Jr.
now. What's that?
They offered Harrison Jr. to stay at Ohio State like some 5.7 million, almost
Right.
as much as he would get if he were drafted
Well, he's going to get
in the
more.
first
He
round.
would have gotten more on the NIL deal than he
Right.
would in the draft. So that's why they put the
Right.
number there. Because
Right.
realistically, rookie contracts don't really pan out unless you are. And I'm not saying that he's not going to be in the first round, but unless you're very high on the first round, your rookie
Unless you're a lottery
contract
pick
is
in the
limited
top
still.
10, you don't get the
Right.
$25 million sign-on bonus.
Right. So it's like the 5 point whatever that he was offered for one season
Right.
is actually pretty high for him to try to stay in. But realistically, with all the changes that are going on, and obviously that's a whole nother rabbit hole we could go down as far as what's out there. But oh yeah, they're up even more now. We were talking about the NIL deals. Bronny James is worth 4.9 million. Shador
How?
Sanders is now up to 4.7.
He can't even get himself close to being drafted.
LSU.
That's gymnastics?
Yeah, she's 3.6 million.
Holy cow. Did you hear that?
Yeah, somebody in gymnastics. Who is it?
Livy Dunn.
Okay.
3.6 mil.
Caitlin Clark is the next 3.1.
That's what I said. It's
Oh, Caitlin
crazy.
Clark. Yeah. I've seen, Caitlin Clark. I've seen a bunch of stuff on her.
This
And
one
then
got famous on
Manning.
TikTok.
Yeah, Arch Manning is 2.8. This one is popular on TikTok, you said?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
She's the first one that started the whole I have to go to online classes because I'm getting too famous to be in actual classes.
Really?
And then others followed suit.
Is that still gymnastics, or is that girl in basketball?
Yeah. Gymnastics.
Okay.
Caitlin Clark, I could understand that too because
Yeah.
there's been a lot of stuff around her as well. Yeah, so you got, does it show age? Man, it doesn't say age on here. But Shador Sanders is what? He's 20, he's got to be 21, 22. I think he's 21 because he's still got another year or two, right?
Right.
Is he a
Right.
junior?
Yeah.
Or going to be a junior?
He's 22.
So he's 20. He's 22.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, okay. So he's a
So he's a
22-year-old worth 4.7 mil, is what you said.
Well,
Is what it said. Yeah, 4.7 mil.
That's been the argument though, is like when I saw that they were going to give money to students, I thought, great. They need to give something to them so that they can they have a little going out money. Because it used to be they gave them a scholarship.
But 4.9
They
mil or 4.7?
that's what I'm saying. So what I thought was going to happen is they would take the NCAA, and based on your TV rights, you would get as a team a certain amount of money. Like I didn't think it was going to be millions. I thought it was going to be like they give them like 10, 15,000, 20,000 each.
Well, and there's Bronny James is 19 and he's worth 4.9 mil. Now I'm sure a lot of it's the same thing with Shador Sanders. Like a lot of that's probably because of their fathers, et cetera, and the bloodline of that, But the thing that kind of blows my mind, and we've talked about this, like there's got to be a cap. Like
Right.
you can't.
And gymnastics
We
is a little
literally took a
different though.
situation and blew the roof off of it, and you have teenagers, and not that they like this is their life. This is their career, but to all of a sudden throw 4 or 5 mil at these teenagers is like completely mind blowing. You know what I mean? Like it's a difference of giving them walking around money and then being like, okay, you are a product worth 5 mil.
Right.
And where do you draw that line at that point?
Exactly. And gymnasts, honestly, I feel a little differently about that because you peak so young as a gymnast. So
right, what's their career like longevity look like?
Right. Because your career longevity as a gymnast, I mean, if you get to 27, 20, 28 as an actual active gymnast, you're doing something with, I mean,
Right.
you've somehow stayed out of the major injuries. Like, you're a unicorn. I mean, there's that girl from like Russia that's 40 and she's still competing, but she's not winning gold medals and she's not like top 20 in the world.
Right.
She's just, breaking records as old people and retirees basically. She's like the Tim
Old people.
she
Setting
she's
records for
like
Wait a
age.
second. Wait a
she
second. How old are you again?
I 100%, I'm an old person. I'm not out there trying to walk the balance beam or do flips. You wouldn't want to see all this, going around a thousand times. Um, but like look at Simone Biles. How many more years does
Yeah.
she have to compete and how old like she's what, 22, 23?
Yeah, she's in her mid 20s.
So she
She's 20. Well, she's 27. So
really.
that's even, yeah, I didn't realize she was that, not that it's old, but I didn't realize
No, it's
she was
not.
27.
But if you put it in the same aspect with baseball players or even soccer players, which I would consider a sport where you peak very young. If you're 32 and you're playing at the top level, you're
Hmm.
doing very well. You've had a level of longevity that is beyond. I mean, you look at Messi. Messi's 36, or yeah, 36 or 37, and he's
Yeah.
now playing in his retirement league, in the MLS. He's
Right.
just,
The MLF.
not that he's still not a good, talented person, but he's probably not playing at a Champions League team. Unless that Champions
Well,
League
yeah, I
team
mean,
is
he's probably
like
not, as
Ajax
fast
or
and as,
something. Ajax.
yeah, yeah. But
Because he's
that's what I think is interesting about, that's what I think is interesting about like the NIL. And you were talking about them setting up a unionized, thing. When you're getting into like a union situation, you add a lot of different factors because it's not like the union itself doesn't just look out for
right.
the athlete themselves or the union member.
So
The athlete or the union itself looks out for the overall, including themselves. So when you
right.
have an organization that's looking to get as much money as they can on top of getting as much money for the players too, it starts to muddy the water a little bit. So
Well,
yeah, they're
and
rallying and putting themselves out there for the athlete or the individual, but
right.
they're also trying to get their cut too.
So it's gonna yeah, it's definitely gonna create a whole huge bureaucracy, because obviously programs like Alabama, Georgia, Michigan, Ohio State, are bringing in hundreds of millions of dollars, and so
Utah,
they can.
where they're giving trucks away to
Right, right.
their scholarship athletes.
And so with that, is the union actually the best way to go, because they're going to bring the money down to everyone. So now your punter is going to get a similar deal to your quarterback. Your is that are they going to be able to do that, or is it going to be more of just like you said, your bureaucracy, and they're going to get the money and the kids are not going to get the money?
I mean, I think so. I think obviously there's going to be levels, anyways, because you look at like obviously the NFL was unionized to some extent with the players' union and
Players
so forth,
Association, yeah.
and yeah, players' association. And so and I feel like on a professional level in that setup, there's benefits to it to some extent because they do fight for the overall health of a professional athlete, and not that collegiate players are not a professional athlete, but when
They
you
are now.
involve a union involved in, well, now they are, I guess, because they're getting paid to play. So, but now you run into a situation, and it's headed this direction for the last 10 years. You started to see players opt out of you know unimportant bowl games
Right.
and all-star games, and and then you get to the NFL Combine and you got players opting out of that because they don't want to get injured and so forth. So like you saw the progression of it heading that direction. When you involve a union in this situation or this demographic now, it makes it even harder for the NCAA to say, "Oh, hold on, this is the first season that we've really gotten this out of the NIL stuff underway. We need to tone it back a little bit and put a cap on it, because then the union's gonna be
Yeah.
like, hey, like we've
Yeah,
got
it's definitely
so
hard
much.
to claw anything back from a union.
Right, right,
Once something is in play, the union is going to definitely try to hold on to that as much as possible. But
right. That mile has already been taken. That like we went past the inches and feet and yards. Like we're at that mile where you got people that are, I shouldn't say people, players, whatever, but you have a player that is worth 4.9 million in NIL deals,
right,
as a 19-year-old. So
I do think
now,
it's
like, how much is the union going to be effective to tone things back? They're not. They're going to be 100% on the player's side because they want to get as much as their cut too. You know.
right. I do think it's funny that we've finally gotten to sports where we're giving um, kids in college at a value. Like in soccer, we've been giving people a value for years. This guy's worth $1 million. This guy's probably worth $100 million. This guy's worth, and then the team will actually pay the other team so much to get that guy, and then they negotiate out the deal. It's like I was explaining it to Moggs the other day. I was like, yeah, he just went to whatever team for $200 million, and then they
Right.
negotiated his contract. Like the team got
Right.
that $200 million for his contract. They're like,
Well, now
so
when you're
we're
talking,
putting we're now putting a value on college kids the same style of way. Is okay, this college kid is coming over, we're just not dealing with the teams as much, um but it's still the same style of deal.
right, and I agree. Like, I mean, you look at hockey, you look at soccer, you look at hockey, you look at a lot of the club level kind of play like that. Um, their hockey professional hockey teams recruit and draft as young as 14.
Right,
So you see a lot of 14, 15-year olds, like the Canadian draft and that sort of thing is wild. Like, I mean,
right,
and they go in and they're not necessarily like getting paid, but they're going into a farm league and they're drafted into a farm
right, they're going
team
into juniors in Canada.
and so forth. Yeah. And
Yeah,
so, and they're literally treated like a professional athlete at that point. So, to clear it up, like I don't want to come off like that I'm against, especially with as much money as in college football.
right.
But there has to be some sort of a like cap to it.
Well, there's something going on because they have to sign contracts before they're allowed to be a part of the NIL.
Right,
So school's getting something and they have to be released.
right. But I think it's good because the school has gotten paid for how long, right? I mean, the
Right.
school has made money off of these
Been to the
college
last,
athletes
what,
for how long,
couple years.
Right. Well, and the NIL stuff really went into effect this past season. Like that's where it really started to like head off and
You
like
started
blow
to
up.
see it affect, like, the transfer portal. You started to see it
Right.
affect actual,
Right.
yeah. I mean, you saw, Blake Corum had $1 million, JJ, had $1 million, um,
Right.
NIL deal. You're starting to see, over there, Neon Dion's giving out, 2, 3, $4 million deals if he can get you into his school. I mean, he picked up 78 people on the transfer portal.
Right. Right. And that's it. And it's gotten like, and we kind of talked about this. We talked about this a while back, like off air, just through text and stuff. How absolutely crazy the transfer portal and all that stuff has gotten. To the point to where like you literally are seeing players now. that have transferred between 2 and 3 schools within a matter of a season and an off season.
Right.
It's like, okay, well, I went here and then I wasn't going to be a starter, and I thought I'd get more playing time over here, so I transferred there. And then they recruited another top player, so I transferred to this other school, or the
Well, look at
coaching
Penix
changed,
Jr.
or whatever the case may be. Yeah, and so you see players that used to commit to one school and spend 4 years there, or even a player that went to a JUCO for 2 years and then transferred into a bigger school. Now you're seeing players that went to three and four colleges by the time they graduate.
Right.
I feel like that's just how things have changed.
Oh, it's definitely a
You
change.
can change that. You can track that back down to like travel ball of kids deciding they're not playing enough, so I'm gonna leave and I'm gonna go to this place. And it's
Right.
just
That
There's
there's
no loyalty to it
no.
anymore.
right. That's been a big thing in soccer for years now. Is I mean, you're getting kids like you said in travel ball. You're getting in Europe. They're signing contracts. I think they sign contracts as like you said as young as 14, and then they go into the club's youth program and they may wash out at 16 or 17. I mean, look at, I mean, you want to know a famous guy that washed out? Gordon Ramsay washed out of the Irish, one of the Celtics youth program at 18. He blew his knee out,
Yeah.
and now he's who he is. But you know, there's a lot that they got in the program. They never really got paid, and so you
Yeah.
can get, I believe they should get paid. There's
Right.
some money that
Right.
should come back to them. Do I believe they should be being paid, $4 and $5 million for a season? No, I mean there's baseball players playing professionally that aren't getting paid, more than 50 or 60,000, in
Right.
single A ball that may one day be, the next great pitcher or the next great hitter, but you know
Right.
so do I
That's a
think they
good
should
point.
be getting paid that much? No, but
Right.
it honestly it does give college football, and if they can ring it into college baseball, it gives college football and college baseball, basketball a reason to still be there.
Right.
If they
Right.
can pay them decent wages, because right now you're losing a bunch of kids to straight to the NBA that need some education.
Well, the NBA is still that league. Um, the NBA is still that league that doesn't require, like, they. I mean, I don't even know what the regulations are, but at one point they didn't require any kind of collegiate.
I think you have to
Um,
go one now.
Yeah,
one
because
year.
One
Kobe
year.
was drafted right out of high
Well,
school.
LeBron James was drafted right out of high school too.
Yeah, that was
Um,
before. That was before.
right, right. Yeah, it's been years. Yeah, I don't follow the
I would say it's
NBA as
been like
much.
4 or 5 years. I think they went to the 1 year and
Okay, but still, even 1 year is
right,
minimal.
right,
It's realistically minimal, and now you're seeing in college football, you're seeing it to where there's players that are out there, and now don't get me wrong, they're top prospects and everything else, but they're playing 2 seasons and they're gone. They're not
right,
playing a junior year. You know, or they're opting out of their senior year and everything else, and like I get that to a certain extent because you get the money when you can, but
right.
at the same
It's a business.
time, it is a business. At the same time, you run into that situation to where like you take the value out of college sports, you
Right.
know, and where it used to be such a big thing to have that kind of on your not your resume, but like to have that, like to
That
be able to
that
say you
bowl
were a
game,
college
that
athlete.
winning at a certain used
Right,
to
and
be
I
the
and I
the
feel
thing.
like I feel like it's gotten so muddy now because of the whole extent of being able to get paid and all of this, and now it's gotten
Right.
kind of blown out of proportion and so forth. And then she brought up a good point. I don't know if you heard it. She's kind of quiet a little bit sometimes, but
We'll work that out of
but
her.
she brought up Brock Purdy,
Yeah.
and here's a professional quarterback, and this has not been something that's been quiet, or it's not something new that hasn't been seen.
Right.
Brock Purdy in his rookie contract is making less than some of these college players, and he led his team to a freaking Super Bowl.
They're even after the
You
Super Bowl
know,
talking about not giving him more money.
Right.
right? And
They're
that's
just
Yeah,
and
because
that's
he's
what's
still in
exposing
his
him.
he's still in his rookie contract. Like he's still in
right.
that
And his
5 year
rookie
span where he's
contract, because he
making
was the last picked. Yeah, it was what, like it was like 670 some mil a
Mr.
year, or I mean
Indispensable.
670,000 a year. And then
Yeah,
you got
Mr.
players that
Irrelevant.
haven't.
Mr. Relevant, yeah.
Right,
Irrelevant. Yeah.
obviously. And his situation is definitely unique,
Right.
but still you have a professional starting quarterback that is leading a team through winning seasons, leading them to a season to a Super Bowl, and then and the guy is literally worth what, a quarter of what some of these
Right.
other, not even a quarter,
He's
like
making
a
somewhere
fifth of
around a
what some of
half a
these
million
other college
dollars to
players.
yeah.
And you have players like Shador Sanders that, I mean, I don't even know what was their ending season. Was it they were like 7-4 or something?
Right.
So you,
Right.
yeah, you know what I mean. Like don't quote me on that one. I didn't look that up. I don't
I,
follow
I
the
I think you're
Colorado team
actually
as
being
well.
generous on Colorado.
Okay, so it might have been like 6-5 or whatever. But they literally came out to a mediocre season, and the guy's worth what was it, 7?
Mm-hmm.
4.7 mil in comparison to a quarterback that is in the professional ball leading his team to basically well, I mean, he led him to a championship, and the guy's getting paid 670 some thousand a year,
They were
you know.
4-8 last year.
So they were 4-8. They had a losing season, and the
Right.
kid's worth,
Yeah.
5 times or whatever what Purdy is. And
Right.
that's
Once
what I'm
they
saying.
got
It's
into
gotten
a
out of hand.
conference, they got crushed.
And so they literally had a losing season. They're not in. It's not like they're in the SEC or the Big Ten, or you know what I mean. They're not in one of the big conferences, and this
Well, they
kid's
are
worth
now.
5 times what Purdy is.
Right. Right.
You know,
Exactly. And that's
and
what I
that's
said.
why it's
That's
flipped
why I
upside down.
mentioned. That's why I mentioned Dion. I said he's offering like for some of these guys to come back. I mean, Michigan's lost already this season. They've lost three, three or five, like 4-star candidates that were going to be starters this year, or going to
Right.
at least compete for starting positions, off to places like Penn State and Alabama but I mean,
Because of
yeah,
NIL deal.
because of
Yeah.
NIL deals. Yep.
Yeah.
That and Harbaugh leaving, just like
Well, yeah,
Saban left, so their top pick
Part
left.
part of that, yeah.
yeah. It's been nobody's treating it like, hey, there's loyalty in college football and this and that. Like everybody's treating it like a business now, and so you literally have 19 to 22-year-olds or 23-year-olds, or if you're redshirting and then
You're in
have a
your
COVID year,
30s.
you're 26 or whatever. It's like, it's
Or if
like,
you're Tuttle, you're in your 7th year of college football.
right. That's what I'm saying. As a 26-year-old or whatever,
Right.
it's like you literally are running into a situation where it's like it's just another business, and
Right.
it's kind of a bummer to me, because I've always loved college football, because they still played because they wanted
They
it.
they played for the opportunity to get the
Right.
big contract someday.
Right.
And that's what made college football great. And that's why Saban even came out in an interview this week and said the NIL has taken everything that was good about college football and killed it.
Right.
It's just not
Yeah.
the same
Threw it out
game
the window.
anymore.
Like, yeah.
So yeah, so he's out. He said, I could have coached another 5 or whatever years. I'm out.
Right. I saw that too. I was like, kudos to him for like really coming out and making a statement about it, because it is
Right.
sad to see what it's come to. And I think you'll see more and more coaches come out and say, like, because realistically, like, I mean, I don't know how you feel being a college softball coach, but being in that situation, like, you are investing your time and energy into a player, and you're investing your all of your knowledge and your experience in honing their talents and their skill and trying to make them or trying to help them become the best athlete possible. But if there's no loyalty to it whatsoever, do you feel like you're wasting your efforts in that manner? Like when, and not that you don't want to see them do the best that they can and go on to do bigger and better things, but it's at the same time, it's like when you're a Nick Saban and
Right.
or a Harbaugh or whatever, and you're investing all this time and energy and
just to recruit them, and
right,
then you lose them
Well, that's
in the blink of an eye.
yeah, and that's what I said. It's no longer who you can recruit. You can have the greatest recruiting class anymore ever, and you're still going to be a mid-level, top, mid-20s, mid-30s team. It's who you can get off of the transfer. How you
right,
use your recruiting dollars, your NIL recruiting dollars, is how you use them. And so,
right.
that's
Like, what can
just
you
where
offer this person?
right.
You know,
How can you sweeten the pot so that that person comes to you? So,
right,
I mean, it's sad. It's become a managing. You no longer get. The struggle used to be that you managed the person for 4 years, or you had them for such a short time, and then you sent them on, and that's how you knew the great coaches because they could manage those players for such a short time, take them from 0 to 100, and make them great players. And now it's, you've got to manage how long you're going to have them. You got to manage how much money. You got to manage if they're going to leave, if they're going to go, if you're just, training them for another team. If you're going to be, you just try to manage their expectations and try to help them get, oh yeah, you're going to be a starter, and then you never make them a starter and they go on to somebody else and,
right.
whatever. But yeah,
Yeah, it's definitely changed the game. You used to. I feel like the recruiting thing is like whoever you can recruit into your program that you can build a really good team dynamic between the players and build a team that can perform and that can compete together. And
and
now I feel like the recruitment has been like, well, we can give you this, we can give you that, like
right,
if you
and
you
that's
want
kind
to
of what was exciting about what Harbaugh did, and that's why I feel a little let down that he left and stuff like that, but at the same time, I understand with all the crap that he got, pinched on,
yeah,
but it's kind of it's kind of crazy what he did last year is, none of like JJ has done a really good job in the combine of getting him built up to maybe he's going to be in the top, in the first round,
yeah,
but he wasn't really in the running for the Heisman. I mean, he was kind of, but he had those couple, games against Penn State, game against Ohio State that weren't like, I mean, two of the better teams in the country, but
yeah, some of the toughest defenses in the
right.
country. Yeah,
And, and so he didn't go guns a blazing on him. He also didn't play in the fourth quarter until he got to Penn State. It was one, so, you play 3 quarters of your season in 3 quarters. You're not going to have the
right.
numbers.
Yeah,
You think about how
you
he could have
can
just
you could
blown
argue.
it up on those guys. Sure.
Right, and you could argue strength of schedule or whatever all you want, but
Right.
realistically, Michigan shut out everybody in
Right.
under 3 quarters of play for 7, 8 games. You know what
Right.
I mean? Like, or pretty
And then
much
and
seven
then
games of
still
the
Penn
season.
State and Ohio State didn't score a ton on them.
Right, right. And so, but it's and I get what you're saying about Harbaugh and his program. You can argue it all you want that he didn't build a great program or whatever, and there's all this the cheating allegations, et cetera, et cetera. But he really didn't. Other than Corum and McCarthy, it's not like he had 5 players that are all in huge NIL deals. It's not. You know what I mean? Like he really built a program around players that had a good dynamic together and played well together, and it was a good like team dynamic in general.
But the players have to make their own NIL. Like they have to
Right,
sell it
right.
themselves. The school really doesn't
Well,
have any
they
control over it.
well, there are schools that have made deals like Utah that made that deal with a local dealership, a Dodge dealership, to where they're supplied any scholarship player is supplied with a brand new vehicle for the league or
For the
in a
player to
lease
then put it
for
all over their social media.
right. So there are NIL deals that are like, well, if you come play for us, we have connections with this person, or this company or whatever, that can kind of connect the dots between that. And there are many schools that have those connect. I mean, I don't know what Oregon's setup is it Nike or Under Armour? I always get those confused. Maryland is
Uh,
one and Oregon is
I
the
think they're with
other.
Nike.
So,
Most are with Nike.
well, and then Maryland is the Under Armour, right? There's one of them is
Yeah,
one
I
and
think
one is the
Maryland's
other.
Under Armour.
But yeah, I mean, it's like okay, so before it was a sponsorship deal that they had. Now it's okay. Well, we're going to use your likeness and we're going to pay you so much because of this or whatever if you can get this recruit in here. The schools are using that as a recruitment tactic now. They're not the ones that are necessarily
Right.
paying them, but they are connecting those dots to make those business deals happen. It's the same thing with Sanders and I mean Sanders. You pretty much put the name Sanders or Deion Sanders on anything,
Right. I mean,
and it's going to make money. You put him in
he's at
Colorado.
least yeah, he's at least done that for himself. I
Right.
don't think he's going. I don't think he's going 1-8 in the league. Well, I don't know. Where did Colorado end up? Did they end up in the SEC?
What is it, Colorado State?
You said the SEC? No, it's
Yeah, didn't they end
Colorado.
up? Because the Pac-10's gone.
I thought they were in the. Is it Big 12? Who are they in now?
Yeah, they're in the Pac-12 right now.
Yeah, they're in the
Uh,
Big 12, or they're joining the
they're
Pac-12. That's what
they're
it says.
they're joining the Big 12.
Oh, that says in 2010. A member of
Oh yeah, that's
Pac-12.
right. Joined the Pac-12 after 2010. So I know they were going somewhere. I'm pretty sure they were going somewhere else.
Colorado's Deion Sanders has unusual recruiting style.
Yeah, as like he goes in the first day and tells them all to go home if they don't want to be part of his hard nosed back
Right,
to the
right.
basics football team.
Yeah, they
They're
didn't.
still in the Pac-12.
Says they're still in the Pac-12.
Huh.
Oh,
No, it says Colorado will join. So it is Big 12. Sorry. It is the
not the
Big
They
12
Pac-10.
are
now
they
at
are
the
joining the
conclusion
Big
of the
12.
2023-2024 season.
That's
So they
why
are
I
in the
I
Big
thought they
12.
were maybe going over because Big 12 used to be Texas, Oklahoma, those
Right.
guys.
Texas,
Texas went to the
Oklahoma are
SEC.
going to SEC. Yeah.
Right.
This year is going to be a totally different dynamic when you go to conferences and stuff now because you're running into so many teams transferring into you got like you said Oklahoma and Texas transferring in SEC and then you have Oregon, UCLA, USC, and what was the other one? Is it Washington? All being absorbed into the
Right.
Big Ten,
Right into the Big
right?
10. Yep.
So it'll definitely be a season that'll be weird.
There's a lot of players that are mad about that and leaving.
That's true.
But where are they going
Because
to
now, I
go?
mean, now you
They're
get
they're
less of the
going into
pot.
other
I mean,
teams that are being. They're going
you
into
used
other
to be
teams that
part
are
of
being
a
absorbed.
you used to be part of a top 5 conference that the fifth conference got good money, and now you're part of the fourth conference, top 4 conference because Pac-12. The only thing left of the Pac-12 is its deal with the um, bowl games.
Right,
So it's deal with the Rose Bowl and that, and the teams will still get their shot at the Pac-12 championship
right,
this year, so that they can get into the playoff. But you see, they already adjusted the 12-team playoff to 14 teams now.
right. I saw that they were changing that. Yeah, it'd be interesting either way to see kind of what happens. I mean, I think you definitely change the value of what those conferences and what the football championship is going to look like now, or NCAA football. championship is going to look like. So I think it'll be. I mean, you get
Listen,
to the point to where like you have two dominant conferences now, between the SEC and Big Ten, and then you still have the Big 12. But it's like, all right, so how long is that third party going to last, kind of thing, you know? Like,
right.
and I know there's other smaller conferences and stuff out there, but I mean, is there
It'll
still
end
the
up. I
American Pacific or whatever it was? Like,
Yeah, there's a ton of conferences. There's the ACC. There's the
right?
Atlantic 10. I mean, and a
Yeah,
lot of them are more prolific in basketball. You know,
or
the
baseball or whatever, you know.
right, or baseball, soccer, whatever. But
But on a football level,
I think you're going to end up seeing the NCAA break it down into NCAA conferences, and there isn't going to be like these big organizations. They're going to kind of step aside. The only
right?
problem with that is there is so much money into those organizations. You know, the Big Ten and the SEC have so much money
Right.
that it's going to be tough to figure out how you break that down
Well,
because
I know there was
because they're
discussion over.
they're not
I,
part of the NCAA.
Right, but I know there was discussion over the last few seasons and like years over that of well, you know, you're gonna have, you know, it's like having two parties in the government, you know, where all of a sudden, you know, there's extra funding for all these the big parties, but where's the independent, you know, in the middle, you know, and they were talking about like, well, are we creating not a monopoly, but like, are we creating two powerhouses that are not gonna, like, where's the rest of the money going,
Right.
you know,
Right.
and or the lack of the funding going to the other conferences, you know, and it's like, is it really fair to have two big conferences and then have a couple other smaller conferences that are playing for peanuts basically, or you know, playing for
Right.
the remnants of what's out there, you know?
Well, and is it fair to just base it solely on football? You're just kind of ruining for all other athletes at that point.
The
Well,
problem
and
is college football is such a big moneymaker for colleges. You know, it,
And I
like,
get
and
that, but at the
not
point,
saying it's right or wrong.
like the student athlete still gets the what, like short straw when they don't play
yeah, they get
football.
screwed in the end.
Oh,
They get
Yeah,
screwed in the
for
end.
sure.
You
Absolutely. I
know.
mean, you see, yeah, that's why you see so many, and I get where you're coming from because you're on the same thing of like the stick and ball, you know, like scenario where it's like realistically baseball, softball, like that those aspects are like highly underfunded in comparison to football and baseball or in basketball, you know.
Right.
But you also like think about like, you know, when it comes to professional baseball, think of the farm leagues that are underneath it. There's so many minor leagues and so many you
I
know,
mean, they
farm
start
leagues
drafting
underneath
those kids at high
professional
school.
baseball. Right. Where football, there's not necessarily a farm league for football. That's
Right.
college. So you're like, when you're talking about, you know, college football, that is the farm league. Like those,
Right.
not that they're associated with a specific team or an organization, but like that is minor league, like baseball, and that's college. Where college is that stepping stone to minor league baseball. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's weird that there's that extra step
It's kind of
in
a
baseball.
parallel. College baseball is almost a parallel for kids that maybe weren't 100% developed. They weren't strong enough to really get into a professional level. And so they go to college and maybe they come out at 22 instead of being an elite athlete at 21 or at 19 or 20, kind of the LeBron Jameses and stuff. You know, we had a guy in that played against us in high school that was throwing like 89, 95 in
Hmm.
just in as a high school pitcher.
Right.
And you so, you know, you that kid, you know, with a little bit of help can become a prolific pitcher, which he did. He's major league pitcher within about 3 years of high school. by just jumping into the minor league baseball in the farm system, where you got some guys that they're pitching that 90s, but they're not hitting the strike zone. They're not over close, and so they go to college and work
Try
on the
to hone their
system.
skills,
Yeah,
and yeah,
or they just do it because they get a free education.
right. If they're
That doesn't
smart,
happen too. Like
if they're
what?
smart, they do that.
Oh, wait. Let's not take it back too old school here. Let's not think that people actually want that thing anymore.
Right, right.
But
Yeah,
so
that's a whole nother. We went down a little bit of a rabbit hole there.
we did. I knew that was a good rabbit hole. You know, with Haley's aspect of being a coach in college, it's interesting to hear like if she's had that experience where players have said anything about NIL, if I know it's a smaller college, do you deal with a lot with NIL? Um, and then do do you lose players because of NIL? Like you built some players up and you just have you guys seen that? Because I know that in 10, 15 years ago, that's what junior college was for. Now
Hmm.
you've got kids that are going to major colleges like Indiana and Michigan and stuff like that, and they're going out, to wherever they're using that as a stepping stone to their big deal, where you would normally go to a junior college and then, that would be, they don't have another year for you because they're a 2-year college or whatever.
Hmm. Um, we haven't dealt with the NIL yet. It was kind of newer to us when they made him sign the contract at the beginning of the school year.
Yeah,
But I could see it, especially we just went to spring training and I walked in on girls doing TikToks. That
right.
was an awkward situation. But I could see it starting to become where we get them for a year, and the next thing we know, they're telling us they're leaving before a
Right.
season even starts.
Right. Yeah. That's what I said. It is just unfortunately anymore it doesn't matter your recruiting side of things because yes, you want to recruit great kids and great students. Um, I think something that Harbaugh said in his kind of speech in the beginning of the year and stuff like that is that he recruits people as opposed to recruiting the athletic ability. And so I think that's how he got people that would stay longer, people who would go the 4 years that were looking to become I mean, Aiden Morrison, he stayed that extra year, or Aiden
Yeah,
Hutchinson stayed that extra year
yeah,
because he wanted to win the Big Ten championship. He wanted to
yeah.
so, you
Well, it's the same
that
thing with.
that's become a rare breed, unfortunately.
Well, it's the same thing with Corum, Edwards, McCarthy. You
Right.
got Sandersill too. Like all those top players that were really had any kind of potential to go into the draft, even last year. Like they stayed another season because of that. Are you gonna
Luckily,
find? Are you gonna find that situation to be less and less common? Because what's a
yeah,
college championship? In the grand scheme of things, it's all about money
right.
now.
It's all about the last in the NFL draft, it's all about the last thing you did. So,
Right.
with those guys like JJ and those guys that have those freakish abilities, you go to the combine. But if you don't, if you're somebody like, I don't know, Caleb Williams, which I don't want to go to the Bears, but
It's
Caleb
because you're a Bears
Williams,
fan.
exactly. I would rather him go to somebody like the Vikings or
Yeah. Yeah.
Green
Well, they
Bay.
need somebody, so.
Um, but somebody like that honestly, they're they're probably a great athlete. They've got the numbers, but in the grand scheme of things, their athletic abilities is probably not as freakish as somebody else. So you don't go to the combine because that's what you're trying to show off is how great
Right.
your athletic abilities are. scrimmage game going on at the combine
Right.
that you can go out and be like, look, I completed 74,000 passes or whatever. That's
Right.
that's just not how that's built.
And Haley and I have kind of talked about this, not as much because she hasn't followed like a lot of the football stuff, but I know I've had conversations with her a little bit, and then I've also had conversations with her dad, which is pretty big into the football and the draft and so forth. But we've talked about like Caleb Williams and like there's a lot of people that are following the hype of him, but at the same time, it's like, is he just a stat patter? Like does he just build stats and that's it? And because realistically, he doesn't seem like much of a team athlete at the end of the day. But when you get to a professional level, you can't just pad your stats your whole career. Like they're not looking for somebody that just pads their stats. They're looking for somebody that can take a team to a championship. And well, Caleb Williams is obviously not that person, in college, and then you see him go into the combine and he's like, well, I'm not doing medical. I'm not even competing in the combine. I'm not
Why
doing
do you
any of these things,
like as
you
as
know?
an NFL team, as a coach, why do you want that headache?
Right. It's just a sure sign that he's going to be a headache.
Right.
And and then you got the other side of people who are like, well, you shouldn't have to do this. You shouldn't have. Like, I have, 20 plus games or whatever that I competed in college. Well, okay. But if you're not going to compete in the little things like the NFL combine,
But
and
the
you're not going
last
to do
time
the
we
little things
saw
like
you,
that, what's going to be, and your college stats, like, okay, the stats themselves might be good that you had, you competed this, or you completed this many passes and you did this many yards and et cetera, et cetera. But you didn't take a team to the championship. You had a mediocre season this past season. Like you
right,
couldn't put the ball in the end zone to win games. So what are
right.
you going to do
You
at the end of
didn't
the
play
day
the
when it comes down
championship.
to
You didn't play your game,
right?
your bowl game.
And not that he is the only deciding factor in that, but if you didn't take your team to the championship, and you're not going to do the little things like release your medical to the
Right,
combine, and you're not going to do this and that and everything, and then you're going to all of a sudden come out with a bunch of demands about having part ownership and this and that with teams.
right.
Like, come on, you're looking out for you. You're not looking out for the team. And I get that this is your career. At the same time, it's still a team sport.
But that's
You're not doing it
Right.
by yourself.
that's the problem. Team sports are turning into personal sports.
And personal gain,
And
right?
you're
Yeah.
seeing it on the fields. You're seeing it when playing with each other. There's no chemistry on the fields anymore.
Right. That's a good way to put it. There's no chemistry or no like real team environment. And I think that's what Harbaugh did good with Michigan was that you could genuinely tell there was some environment,
They were fighting for
some
each other.
right. There
It's got to
wasn't
be
as
a
much
family because that's
about
what
themselves. You
needs to
can
be
you can create a
preached.
good player, but if you can't create a good player that meshes well with other great players,
Right.
you just have a bunch of great players individually.
That's why I
You
said
know,
we can get Sharon Moore. He's going to be great. He'll be a good coach, whatever, but he's not going to be the man manager. He's not going to be the
right,
player manager that Harbaugh was.
right.
And I think that's the it factor anymore is that can you mesh all of these,
Different
egos
personalities, different talents.
together to make them all believe at the same time. That's how you win championships. And
Right.
so, either that or you
There's
just
no shortcut to that. There's
right,
you look back at like great teams and you think to yourself how many championship college teams have had great seasons and how many of them went on to be great NFL players.
right,
A handful out of those
right,
championship teams. It wasn't because the whole team was loaded with a ton of top tier athletes. It was
right,
because you had a few good puzzle pieces to the big picture at the end of the day.
right.
And the team meshed really well and the team played together really well.
A group of 52 players that played together great are still going to be better than 3 or 4 star athletes.
Standout athletes,
That's
right?
where a
Right.
lot of coaches recruit the person and not the talent.
Right, and I hope that it doesn't go away from that, but I feel like the recruiting is you just created a situation where the recruiting has gotten so much harder because that environment is now, well, what can you give me? Well, I can give you a
What
great
happens?
organization that is known for championships. Well, that's not going to pay me though. I want to know what you're going to pay me.
Right.
You know, I want to know what my worth is going to be. You know, that's what it
And
really
the
comes down
NIL
to.
is just going to make the richer
NIL just
rich
put it in.
richer.
Right. Right. And I don't know if you heard what she said about the scholarships. Like, go ahead and say what you said.
Oh, I just said it. That's kind of how it was with scholarships. Is they would ask coaches, "Well, what can you give me?" But now the NILs just put it on a bigger grandstand.
The
Right.
scale has definitely changed. Yeah. Where it used to be like, well, I can give you a full ride with this, and I can, we can do this and this and this, and you'll be on a
Right.
great team with great competition. But now it's like, well, I can give you a Dodge truck for 4 seasons, and I can,
You're real stuck on
I
these
can.
Dodge trucks.
Well, it's just to me, it's just crazy. Like it's just such a crazy thing, and obviously there's so many higher levels than that, but it's like you're literally giving you have players that are showing up at the age of 19 or 20 to their signing deals in Lamborghinis and Ferraris and stuff, and it's
Some might even be 17 or 18.
well, and that too. But I'm
Right.
just saying it's gotten so out of control that
Well, that was
it's
what I was
it's
going to
like
say is what happens when, because you're such a great high school athlete, now your school decides or your fan base decides that you need to recruit this kid,
right,
that you need to put in money into this kid. What, like, it used to be like, "Oh, we got this guy," or we're get but now your alumni association says, "Oh, we're not gonna give you this money until you get this guy," or Nike says, "Yeah, maybe our deal with you isn't as good unless you get this many
so and so,
five-star
yeah,
recruits."
right. Well, and then how where is the end of it? Like where is that line now? Because you've extended it into college football or college sports in general to where you have 18, 19 year olds that are worth 4 or 5 mil or whatever, or even a single mil. It's like, we're
Right.
not talking about just a couple 100,000 of walking around with money in their pockets
Right.
and being able to be comfortable. We're talking about people that are worth way more than
Right,
a
we're
lot of
talking about
us in
life-changing
normal
money here.
society. Right.
Yeah.
So where does that line get drawn when you run into a high school student that's 18 years old and or 17 years old that's looking, he's staring down all these opportunities, and he's no longer looking at what's the best opportunity for his education and his future. He's looking at what's best for what's going to pad his pockets, or her. I keep saying he, but he or she. It's whatever their opportunity is to pad their pockets. It's no longer like, well, I'm going to go to this school because they support my educational goals along with my
Oh, we haven't talked about educational goals yet? That's
yeah, we haven't even gotten to that part. What do you want to be when you grow up? Well, I just want to make 4.9 mil off of NIL deals in college football. It's like
Yeah, well, that's what's funny is that nobody has really said anything about that or graduation rates of athletes I
right,
haven't heard it
right,
probably in like 10 or 15 years. But back in the 90s, they were starting to hit some of the schools with sanctions and stuff like that, the lesser scholarships and things, because you were seeing schools like Alabama that weren't they were only graduating like 10% of their student athletes.
right.
Like it was like, you normally you want to see, 50 or 60%. You'll have a bunch of college baseball or college football players that will go out a little early, a year early, or you get a
Right.
basketball player that comes in a year or two and whatever, but that shouldn't be your majority. I mean, you've got softball, you've got baseball, you've got all of these other sports where there isn't a pressing major league, that will pay you millions and millions of dollars that, it's time to get out. So all of the, you got your badminton and stuff like that, and those guys aren't graduating either. Like, come on, guys.
Right.
Like, we're not,
All right.
we're not, we can't get our chess team to graduate,
Right.
or is that just the
Right.
10%?
You
Or
got
esports.
Yeah, your
esports.
esports guys, your esports guys
Right.
aren't graduating now.
You got esports guys. You got swimmers. You got you got all these
Right.
other. Yeah. I agree. It is sad the way it's going.
It
It'll
used to
be
be like a top thing to get the scholar athlete.
right.
You
Right.
Right.
know, you don't even hear about scholar athletes anymore.
I feel like you've taken away, because it used to have to be, and the academic stuff has always been that kind of thing of like, well, how important are our academics really, because we only have to be above a 2.8 or whatever, or a 2.3 or whatever. But now it's gotten even less important, that like
Right.
you can't look at a college athlete that's, and I'm sure they still have standards to some extent. It's probably a little higher than Captain Barbecue, but but it's like the,
I mean,
to
it
take
was
it
like
back, that
Casimir
kind of
was
came a little
taking
full circle
basket
there.
weaving back at Ohio State.
Right.
I got a
But
B in basket weaving.
right. I'm
Pool
saying like
sciences.
that I feel like the emphasis is left being a well-rounded college
Right.
athlete or college student athlete anymore. It's like, well, yeah, but he has a great following on social media, and his
How much is he
societal
gonna make
presence.
this organization?
Right? How
Like it doesn't matter anymore. The title is student athlete, where
Yeah,
student comes first.
right.
It's
Student, yeah, for sure.
now it's just
Athlete,
moneymaker,
yeah. So social media
Right.
presence and
influencer.
yeah, influencer, atmosphere that you ran into and created now. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Deep rabbit hole. A deep rabbit hole.
it did. It got us to about 2 hours here now. So,
Right. Right.
Now we're
um,
getting cold.
welcome, Haley. Glad we could bring you in on the woolly mammoth debate and the debate about NIL in college.
Yeah.
So
Beginning of Jurassic
it's
Park
it's
and the
still,
end
like
of
I
college
said,
sports.
it's still
It's the
not
end of the world as we knew it.
not as bad as the daughter who was praising her mom for changing her gender stereotype.
Oh god.
With her daughter had just changed was inspired to change hers, and her cisgender father was the odd man out, but he was glad enough to be along for the ride. So that's how we entered in a couple of the other guys. So at least you got the light
Good one.
the light entry.
I got the good one.
you
The
got the
lighthearted
good ones.
introduction.
So with that being said, what'd you learn today, Honest Abe?
Oh, you're kicking it to me first?
Yeah, definitely.
Uh,
Gotta
well, I think I touched on it a little bit. The beginning of Jurassic Park, the
Yep,
end of college sports as we know
yep.
it. Um,
He said,
that's a
Captain
pretty. That's
Barbecue.
that's what I learned today. I learned that we are soon going to have to test our manhood again against woolly mammoths.
Woolly the
they
Mammoth.
already got dinosaurs in the making. They're just not telling us.
I'm sure. I'm sure they're down in a basement somewhere. Um, and yeah, somehow they got the perfect cocktail for Sleepy Joe.
That
Sleepy Joe. Do I want to know?
yeah,
Sleepy
I'm
Joe
not
and Joe
sure
Biden.
how they got him
I'm sorry,
going
President
that peppy,
Biden.
but they have to use that again and once in a while.
Yeah.
So this is that electroshock therapy that he's been having.
Yep.
Oh,
We got
I
the
hear they
perfect combination of Adderall, speed, something else.
crack cocaine and
Yes.
electrotherapy.
Just a puppet.
It is definitely that, but
Haley,
What'd you learn?
what'd you learn?
You
Put you
know,
on the spot.
I came in late, so I didn't know about the woolly mammoth. I know they were. I know there was a goat that they recreated, but
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. They got
they did.
they cloned the sheep, and
Yeah,
yeah.
sheep. But I didn't know they were doing a mammoth. That'll be
There was just
exciting.
and yeah, an article I ran across. There's yeah, interesting.
That'll be the next thing I ask for.
You're not getting a woolly mammoth. They're not making a miniature version of this.
They will. Just you
I
wait.
mean, it's already
They
a
make a
miniature
miniature everything else.
version. The woolly mammoth was like twice the size of an elephant. So if it's just the size of an elephant, it's the miniature version.
Right.
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 Well, guys, you know what I learned? I learned that we got great merch at our merch store. So get on the whyimangrypodcast.com or whyimangry.com and get some merch. Support us. Again, $1.25 gets you ad-free support or ad-free podcasts. So get on there, get out, follow us, like us, and share us. That helps us out
Push our buttons.
also. What's that? Push them
I said
buttons.
push our buttons.
Push our
Yeah.
buttons. We like 5 and 1 star reviews. So give us a great review or just completely hate us. But whatever you do, at least be creative in it. So we can have a good laugh later. So, keeping it real and, remember to follow, like, and share the Why I'm Angry podcast across all social media platforms and anywhere you get your podcast. The Why I'm Angry podcast ends now.